Chapter 25. The Healing Flames of Hagetta's Fire. Connor wasn't expecting to wake up. When Lester crashed into the forest, he figured it was the end. He hoped that the Happily Ever After Assembly could win the war without them, and if they did, he hoped he and his sister would be remembered as war heroes. The last image in his head, as he slowly lost consciousness, was the statue that would erect in his honor. The statue was much taller and more muscular than he was in real life, and the sculptor had added a cleft in his chin. It was exactly how Connor wanted to be remembered. But to Connor's surprise, he woke up. His eyelids slowly opened, and his blurry vision took a moment to adjust. He was lying on a cot in a small and cluttered cottage. A large wooden table and an iron cauldron were in the center of the cottage, and a thick stack of mirrors had been placed between them. The walls were filled from floor to ceiling with shelves of jars of dirt, sand, plants, flowers, colorful liquids, insects, small reptiles, and pieces of bigger animals like pig ears and cow hooves. A small fire perch of peach-colored flames burned in a tiny brick fireplace. Where am I? He asked himself. He felt a tingling on the side of his torso and looked down to see his entire left side was engulfed in the same peach-colored flames. "Ah, I'm on fire! I'm on fire!" Connor screamed and looked around the cottage for someone to extinguish them. He didn't see anything and beat the flames with his sleeve. He figured his whole body was in shock since he didn't feel any pain. A woman appeared from another room in the cottage and rushed to Connor's side. "Calm down," the woman said, and grabbed his hands. "You're doing more damage than the fire is," she said. And the woman was middle-aged and wore dark red robes. Her hair was the same color as her robes, and she had bright green eyes. "What's happening to me?" Connor yelled. "You broke your ribs in the fall," the woman said. "The fire is healing you." "The fire is healing me?" he asked. The woman walked to the fireplace. "It's a magic fire. Look," she said, and held her hand over the flames. They flickered around her hand, but it didn't burn her. "See? Are you satisfied?" Connor stopped panicking, but he was anything but relaxed. Seeing his body covered in flames was incredibly unsettling. However, helpful they were. Did you see us crash?" Connor asked the woman. "Yes," the woman said. "You were all hurt pretty bad. I brought you back here to heal your wounds before they got worse. You're in the dwarf forest, but don't worry, you're safe in my cottage." "Where's my sister? Is she all right?" Connor asked. "She's banged up worse than you, and she's coming around," the woman said. The woman moved her cauldron out of the way so Connor could see her sister resting peacefully on a cot behind it. Alex's leg and wrist were covered in flames, healing her broken bones. "Who are you?" Connor asked. "Are you a witch?" "My name is Hagetta," the woman said. "I prefer the term healer these days, but yes, I'm a witch." Her name instantly rang a bell. "Hagetta?" he repeated. "Any relation to the witch named Hagetta?" Hagetta nodded. "She was my much older sister," she said. "Hagetta taught me everything I know about witchcraft, but I was never interested in dark magic like she was. So we parted ways shortly before she died." Alex stirred to life and slowly sat up. She looked around the cottage and as her eyes adjusted. "Where am I?" "You're safe, dear," Hedda said. "Hey, Alex, heads up. You're also on fire, but don't worry. It's helping your leg and wrist heal," Connor warned her. Alex's eyes grew twice in size, and she saw the flames engulfing her wrist and leg. "Okay," she peeped. Nothing could make her entirely comfortable with this. "So, what kind of fire am I in? I'm on exactly." "They're healing flames from the breath of an albino dragon," Hagetta explained. "The albino dragons were very rare and just as awful as regular dragons, but their flames had unique healing qualities. My great-great-great-great-grandmother acquired some of those flames during the Dragon Age, and my family has been keeping them burning for generation to generation." Wow, Connor said. I can't even keep a cheetah pet alive. Alice became less anxious knowing this information, but she was still uneasy from waking up in this strange cottage. She couldn't stop staring at Hagetta. She could have sworn they crossed paths in the past. Do I know you from somewhere? She asked. Her name is Hagetta, and she's Hagatha's younger sister, Connor filled her in. Alex was shocked. You're Hagatha's sister? I am, Hagetta said, but I believe we saw each other at Jack and Goldilocks' wedding. You're right, Alex said, putting the pieces together. How do you know Jack and Goldilocks? Hagetta laughed at the thought. I had known Goldilocks since she was a very little girl and started her life on the run. We first met when I caught her trying to rob me. I scared her off and I thought I'd never see her again. But then a few weeks later, I found her in the woods. She had been attacked by some creature and barely survived. I brought her back here and healed her wounds, but she refused to stay any longer. She insisted she didn't need my help and told me she could take care of herself. I knew she was too stubborn to convince, so I gave Goldilocks her first sword. I told her she would have learned to defend herself if she was going to live on her own. You gave Goldilocks her first sword, Connor asked, tickled pink by the story. That's like giving Shakespeare his first pen. Hagetta smiled. She returned the favor a few years later. A gang of trolls cornered me in the woods and tried to enslave me. Goldilocks heard my pleas for help and she came out of nowhere on that horse of hers. Wow. Talk about karma, Connor said. Indeed, Hagetta said. And since then I tried to assist anyone I met who needs a helping hand. I never thought a wanted fugitive would teach me the power of a clean conscience. We can't thank you enough for helping us, Connor said, then quickly looked around the room. Wait, where's Lester? The twins heard a squawk as Lester drowsily popped his head up from under Hagetta's table. Flames covered his busted beak, and his left wing was ablaze as the peach cloud fire slowly regrew his wing one feather at a time. That's the most stubborn gander I have ever met, Hagetta said. He wouldn't let me touch you when I first found you. It was like he was protecting his own chicks. I told him I only meant to help, but still had to sedate him with a sleeping potion to calm him down. It should be out of his system by now. Connor made an affectionate frown and rubbed the giant goose's neck. Thanks for looking out for us, bud, he said. Mother Goose would be very happy to hear that. Alex searched her dress and pockets and suddenly gasped. Oh no, my wand broke and the pieces must have fallen out of my pocket. No worries, child, your wand will be back to normal soon, Hagetta said. She pointed to the fireplace and Alex saw her crystal wand being placed directly into the firewood, and the flames were slowly mending it. Alex was so relieved and laid back down, almost forgot she was on fire herself. You're the nicest witch we've ever met, Connor said. I thought all witches were terrible, but you've proven me wrong. All it takes is one bad apple to disgrace a whole tree, Hagetta said. I come from a very long line of witches, and I've only heard of one witch who eats children, but thanks to the story Hansel and Gretel, the whole world thinks all of us live in gingerbread houses and lure innocent youths to their deaths. That's an interesting point, Connor said. I've met just many ugly humans as I have ugly witches, but we're not stereotyped. Most witches don't start out as ugly, Hagetta said. Dark magic leaves its mark on its dealers. My sister Hagetta was the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Men traveled across kingdoms to woo and court her, but after devoting her life to harmful witchcraft, its effects began to show on her face. Alex sat straight up. Wait a second. How long have we been here? She asked. A few hours, Hagetta said. Oh no, Alex said. Connor, we gotta get back to the fairy palace at once. Now that the Grand Army has started attacking, we have to form a new plan. She made the mistake of stepping on her bad foot and yelped in pain before falling back into the cot. You two are no good to anyone in the condition you're in, Hagetta said. Wait for the flames to finish doing their job. Once they burn out, you'll be healed. As much as it killed her to sit still at a time like this, Alex had no choice. Their plan had been compromised, and she slumped as if they had already lost the war. It was really smart of you to keep half of the armies hidden, Alex, Connor said. At least no one was unprepared for this to happen. As soon as we get back to the fairy palace, we'll find out who has and hasn't been attacked. Maybe our first plan can still work. I'm not sad because of our plan, Alex said. You saw how viciously they opened fire in the Elf Empire. There's no way the Corner Kingdom or Bo Peep Republic stands a chance against forces like that. Hagetta couldn't help but interrupt. Did you say Bo Peep Republic? She asked. What on earth is that? It's the new name of the Red Riding Hood Kingdom, Connor said. They changed the name because little Bo Peep was elected queen. Hagetta raised both of her eyebrows and looked off into space, completely flabbergasted. Was she now? She asked. Do you know little Bo Peep? Alex asked. It was obvious from her expression that they were acquainted. Very well, I'm afraid. How do you know her? Connor asked. She sought me out when she was a little girl, Hagetta explained. Apparently she dozed off one afternoon on her farm and lost track of her sheep. The whole thing was a great embarrassment for her, so she found me in the woods and paid me 5 golden coins to make her a potion that would keep her awake. Did you make her the potion? Connor asked. I did, Hagetta said. It was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. Was something wrong with the potion you gave her, Alex said. No, there was just a lot of wrong with the customer, Hagetta said. The potion worked so well that little Bo came back to me many times, expecting fixes for all her problems throughout the years. She needed a potion for her sheep to grow the fluffiest wool. She needed a potion for her cows to give the sweetest milk. She wanted seeds to make her chickens lay the biggest eggs. It never stopped, especially when that man came to the picture. The twins looked at each other, equally intrigued. Which man? Connor asked. The man little Bo fell madly in love with, Hagetta said. He was older than she was, and a total crook. Are you talking about the man trapped inside her magic mirror? Alex asked. Her curiosity had completely taken over her body, and she couldn't help asking. Connor had both stared at her. Connor had no idea what she was talking about, but Hagetta was astonished she knew anything about it. How do you know about the magic mirror? Hagetta said. What magic mirror? Connor asked, hoping one of them would fill him in. Alex hesitated as she tried making the explanations as harmless for herself as possible. During the election, a friend and I thought it would be fun to spy on little Bo, Alex said. We weren't looking to cause any trouble. Just to have some fun, but we saw the magic mirror inside her barn, and there was a man trapped inside it. Connor raised suspicious eyebrows. Is this the same friend you're not dating? Alex didn't respond. All her attention was on Hagetta. The magic mirror in little Bo's possession is a mirror of communication, not of imprisonment, Hagetta said. I should know. I made it for her. The man you saw wasn't trapped in the mirror. He was locked away in prison many years ago. I gave them each a mirror so they can still communicate. Alex covered her mouth. It had never occurred to her that the mirror in little Bo's barn might be a communication mirror, like the kind she and her brother had. Wait a second, Connor said, making connections of his own. There's a mirror in the cells in Pinocchio prison. Is little Bo Peep in love with the masked man? She never told me his real name, but yes, that is the name he chose for himself, Hagetta said. He was the youngest son of a very powerful family, but he longed to be more powerful than all of them. He tried everything but possibly could to gain the control he desired. He lied and stole, and he made promises he couldn't keep. He bargained deals he couldn't afford. He's the most conniving type of man there is. Alex nodded. Everything began making sense to her. Little Bo wanted to be queen because she thought being ruler of her kingdom would give her the authority to free him from prison. Hagetta grunted. I'm sure she also couldn't live without the guilt, she said. Little Bo is the reason he was caught in the first place. She turned him in. Connor gasped. She turned the man she loved? He may have cast his spell on Little Bo's innocent heart, but even she couldn't deny how dangerous he was. She warned me about him just as many times as she confessed her undenying love. She betrayed him because Little Bo was protecting someone else she loved. Hagetta explained. Little Bo and the masked man had a child. Both the twins shook their heads in disbelief. Little Bo as a mother, Connor asked. She was, Hagetta said. Little Bo was terrified of what the masked man would do if she found out she was carrying his child. He was so obsessed with power, she was afraid he would see an heir as a threat. So she wrote an anonymous letter to the fairy palace, warning them of his plans to steal from the fairy godmother. And he was caught in the act. Little Bo gave birth to a son while he was locked up, and he never knew about the baby or the betrayal. What happened to the baby? Alex asked. Hagetta sighed and shook her head. Little Bo came here while she was in labor and delivered the child right in this room, she said. She begged me to take the child somewhere the masked man could never find him. She was so young at the time, I couldn't argue that the child should be raised by someone else. So I took him to the place I'll never reveal for as long as I live, so his father will never find him. It broke Little Bo's heart to be separated from the child and the masked man. I tried soothing her with the healing flame, but even the flames of an albino dragon couldn't fix a broken heart. Did you do anything else to help her? Connor asked. I did, Hagetta said. It was the only time I ever performed dark magic. I followed a spell I saw my own sister perform on a lovesick maiden a long time ago. I cut out a piece of Little Bo's heart, the part that was full of hurt and longing for the man of her life, and I turned it to stone. The maiden my sister used the enchantment on turned into a soulless monster, and I wanted better for Little Bo. So I gave Little Bo the piece of her heart on a chain and told her to wear it when she was ready to face the loss that comes with love. For her sake, I hope he stays in prison for the rest of his life. It's a tragic story, and it made Alex even more nervous about the chapter of the story they're still in. Hagetta, the masked man was recruited by the Grand Army, Alex said. He promised the general he could take them to a dragon egg. We were told it was impossible, but if he is as powerful as you say, do you think he actually knows where to obtain one? Hagetta went very quiet, and her face became still. Horrific images flashed behind her eyes, and she didn't share it with the twins. I pray he doesn't, Hagetta said. The fairies were successful of ridding the world of dragons, but there have always been rumors that there were 1 or 2 eggs left behind. No one would know how to kill a dragon anymore if one would arise. All those fairies are either dead or too old to slay a dragon now. If the masked man were to get his hands on a dragon egg, it wouldn't matter what kind of plan he performed. The world would be over. That is the end of chapter 25. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more of the Land of Stories, A Grimm Warning, and more books to come. Also, if you have any good suggestions for me on good books to read or any other videos you want me to do, don't forget to post a comment below. But overall, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoy the reading. Bye!